climate change and environmental law, data privacy, intellectual property rights, corporate governance, commercial law, and technology law. She's the managing partner at Mputhia Advocates, a Nairobi-based law firm that specializes in emerging laws, climate change and environment law, and corporate governance. As a versatile advocate with a wide skill set, she has been involved in many consultancies ranging from corporate governance, where she has specialized in family business governance in emerging laws. She has been involved in several consultancies where she has assisted her clients to attain a competitive advantage by using changes in the law as a tool to attain competitive advantage. She is an advocate who believes that the law can be used by businesses to attain a competitive advantage. She has advised on data privacy, intellectual property laws, climate change laws, and other emerging laws. She has advised many tea factories on diversifying their income through the possible use of carbon credit as a source of financing. She believes that Kenya's natural resources can be tapped to create national and generational wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Dr. Cathy to the stage. Please give her a warm.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning. How are you this morning? Ladies and gentlemen, right? I don't see a man in the room. Oh, there's some. How are you? All right. So, thank you for the warm introduction, moderator. I'm going to be giving the keynote speech on She Raises Capital. And I want to speak about beyond capital, beyond money. How women can access, attract, and negotiate capital. So, as I begin, I want to describe to you a woman that some of you may know, and if you don't know her, it's my pleasure to introduce you to her. So this woman is described as a very God-fearing woman. She's virtuous, she's hardworking, she's wise, and she has diverse business interests. I came to realize that raising capital goes beyond finances. And I came to understand that there are different forms of capital. And each of us in this room has a form of capital. As I take you through the forms of capital, everybody has something that they have been given to impact the spaces that they occupy. And as we talk about capital, I'm expanding the conversation in this speech to different forms of capital that could even directly impact your ability to raise financial capital. So, some of the forms of capital, we have spiritual capital, which is basically the good that comes back to you. You know, you give forms of capital. And our divine lady that I introduced to you earlier has all the forms of capital. She had spiritual capital, social capital. She had such a good name that just to mention her name somewhere, doors automatically open for you. So She Raises Capital, in my view, is not just about money. The conversation goes beyond money. Money is very important, and I believe that is the theme that we are getting into. But the conversation also goes beyond money to include reputation, trust, networks, and influence. So capital is required by every woman, whether or not you're in business. And capital, in my view, is that resource that you are entrusted with and that you can use to build value for yourself and for others. We need to pair that up with positioning, visibility, preparation. Capital is a resource. And a mentor once told me that capital, when you have a vision, the universe responds. When you have a vision in your heart, the universe will respond to you by bringing capital. In terms of doors will begin to open, you will have the right networks and so on. So capital is not just about competence, it is also about confidence. It is also about the inner, your inner values, your inner mind, and your inner man. So as I set the pace, I just want to talk about the 7 C's of capital. My name is Cathy, so you know, when you go talk to in front of the mirror, are you able to express what your vision is? Are you clear in your mind what your vision is? So before you go out to investors, and I brought it back to the finance capital, before you talk to investors, you need to have internal clarity, and you need to have also external clarity of what you want, and avoiding, you know, that hype language and salesy language, you know, I am the best, and, you know, just being authentic, right? And I'd rather invest in a company that has reported losses, right? But has been honest in the reporting, and also has a fallback plan of how to recover that position. So ladies, credibility is really, really key for investors. My third C, I'm pressed for time, so capital will be moving through people. So it's very good to build your communication skills, and in a way that appeals to investors. My mentor told me that we have to be honest that connection is not just physical today, it is also digital. You know, and my mentor told me, if you want to go to the next level, get the friends of that level. It looks a bit snobbish or a bit, you know, uppity, but there's wisdom in that. There is power in association. Friends and networks and mentors are able to shape your thought process. They are able to shape your habits. And they are in the right spaces is also good. I think I'm on my 4th or 5th C, and this is communication. So before you raise capital, you're raising belief. An investor needs to believe in your narrative. How many people watched? They went to the love story, and they told them, I can't really remember the context, but the investors connected with the story. So communication is important. You're raising belief before raising capital. In today's world, narrative is a currency. I do public speaking and things like that. But these are things that you can learn by, you know, upskilling, and also invest in storytelling. Again, invest in branding. There are very many branding experts who can help you package your presentation for investors. What is your pitching skill? I went through a program for entrepreneurs. I was not looking for funding, but I just like learning. And one of the topics that we had was pitching. We were taught how to pitch. Something as simple as formatting. How do your presentations look? What grammar are you using? Those small things go a long way in the eyes of investors. My 6th C is commercial viability. And all the others I've said are maybe internal or about emotions. A good idea will get attention, but a viable one is what gets funded. So viability looks like market opportunities. You need to be very clear in your mind about what are the opportunities coming from this relationship, what are the revenues, what's the need for the investor really, what return on investment is there, and what is the scalability of this business. And to help you do this, you can get experts, you can get coaches, you can get finance experts and so on, to help you prepare and position yourself to bring out the viability. It's good to always add your numbers, dot your I's, cross your T's. Be ready and armed to respond to viability. Now, a lot of people go straight into viability before looking at these other things like connection, communication. When you're legally compliant, you build trust. Investors tend to trust what is compliant. Investors are quick to invest in investor-ready companies. Investor-ready companies are companies that are compliant with the law already at the time of investment. So any investor, before they give you money, they are going to do what they call a due diligence on you. And a due just the business, but they are going to audit, they're going to audit the business. They do three main things. They are going to do a financial due diligence, looking into the viability. They'll do technical, but they'll also do a legal due diligence, which I guess the panel will talk about that. So compliance looks like, do you have the right structure to support investment? A lot of women, me included sometimes, we get into business without even thinking through the structure. And that's for my side hustles. My other business is registered. So sometimes you're in a passion profit, maybe you know how to cook, or those are some of the things investors look at. Have you been doing nil returns or no returns at all? Because when they give you money, they don't want any legal drama. They don't want drama. So getting ready for investment also looks like that. I think we'll be talking about intellectual property later because of time. My last C is cost. Count the cost of capital. A wise man once said that before you start, get stuck halfway. So before you get into any investor arrangement, count the cost of capital. Because not all capital is good, to be honest. Not all capital is good. There's some capital that comes with a lot of limitations in terms of what you can and cannot do. There's some capital where your vision will be diluted. The investor wants to go a different way, and you want to go another way. So count the cost of capital. Look at loss of control, loss of decision making, misalignment, because you can be misaligned with an investor. So you need to look at all those things before you take the money. There's a client I advised, and they're going to get some good money, but they walked away from the deal because of misalignment. Their values were going to be compromised by taking that capital. So always count the cost of capital. If the cost outweighs the benefits, walk away. There are many, many investors. So you can continue shopping set. I've been in these spaces where everyone is talking about your internal world, your mindset, your attitudes, and your beliefs. Just a question maybe to ponder. What is your mindset towards capital? Do you believe that you can access capital, or is it for other people? So capital requires wisdom, right? It requires discernment, because not every opportunity is for you. But internally, as you get into this space of raising capital, there needs to be an internal alignment in terms of your beliefs, right? And everything, so that this capital does not become a burden to you, okay? So as that mentor who has built a very big business from scratch told me, you need to believe that you are, you have ability to attract. It's not just belief, you also have to act. And being in the right spaces and, being proactive is part of action. Belief plus action can get you what you're looking for. So capital, as I close, is not just an opportunity. Also look at it out of so many people. So we have a responsibility in how we steward capital. It's not just for ourselves. It is for our community. It's for the next generation. So as you raise capital, she raises capital. It could be just opening a door for a sister. It could be imparting some knowledge, building intellectual capital. It can be mentoring somebody else. But as you have been given this opportunity, create room for others. And finally, what you build with capital matters, but who you become while handling capital matters even more. Thank you.